Hey, 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 welcome back to Drive Time. I am your host, Craig Pasta Jardula, and we do it live, bringing you all the hot takes, headlines, and unfiltered opinions that matter most. Whether you're stuck in traffic, cruising to work, or just chilling at home, we want to hear from you. Today's topics are all about the big stories making waves, but we're not just here to talk at you. We want to hear your thoughts, your experiences, and your take on everything from the latest political debates to the everyday challenges we face. Remember, whether you're on the left, the right, or somewhere in between, we welcome all points of view. So grab that hands-free device, dial us up, and let's dive into the conversation. What's on your mind? It's Drive Time. Call in now. Wow.
Right.
Welcome, everybody. Good morning. It's Drive Time, which means it's your time. I want to make sure I got the right microphone on. I'm going to check that one, too. Sounds good. Got the right camera, got the right glasses, got the right show, got the right guests, got everything right, even including the right listeners and audience. Guys, it's Wednesdays. You got to excuse me. I'm very excited. Wednesday is one of my favorite days. Why? Yeah, Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski's coming on the show, and that's always fun. Yeah, it's the middle of the week and it's halfway to the weekend. But Wednesday night means Stevie D night over at the Boca Tiki bar over there. Man, that's the day where you get to hear all the good music, songs like Band of the Heart and Jealous Fellas, stuff that a guy like me could really appreciate, a guy who graduated in 1991. So that's always fun. And Stevie, if you haven't checked out Stevie's stuff, Florida Fish and Friends right there, go subscribe on his YouTube. He needs some love over there. He gets crazy amount of love on the Facebooks, but we need some love over on the YouTube. Stevie, I just picked some beautiful papaya. I want to make a papaya pico de gallo. So if you get that grouper, we got to go catch a grouper, right? We can have fried grouper tacos. Woo! With a papaya pico de gallo or salsa, whatever you want to call it. More of a pico de gallo, nice and chunky. Fresh cilantro, cebolla, onions. Beautiful papaya that I have on my property right now. We just took a couple down. Sac passe, madame. Nabule over there. Jean Jeanette is over here to take care of mama, get her some breakfast. Everything's cranking. Everything's working. It's a beautiful Wednesday. Guys, remember, and girls, we are a call-in show. Let's get the first sip of coffee for you all. Here we are. Oh, it's hot. It's good. But eventually, I'm going down to Nicaragua to get our own coffee. Good morning, Stacy. Hope everything is beautiful where you're at. Hello, Uncle Brother, Darth Vader. Gabriel Freedom, of course, is in the chat. Our producer extraordinaire holding it down. And I see a decent amount of people hanging out on the Rumbles. What's up with you guys getting up nice and early today? Look at some names over there I haven't seen before. Christian Mercier. Have I not paid attention to you? Is this your first time in? Well, sorry I haven't noticed you before, but I do notice you now. Thank you for coming on in. Remember, you can go to Rumble. You can go to YouTube. I think we're still kind of on Facebook. Aren't we, Sleepy? I think we got it back. But
in theory.
In theory,
I don't have a Facebook
back.
account, so I can't check it.
In theory, in reality, Sleepy J is here, of course, hanging on out. He is our engineer and our co-host. But, of course, it's Wednesday. And like I said, I get excited for Wednesdays because it's Stevie D night. And we're going to hear some nice 90s music, 80s and 90s music. But, of course, Colonel Karen's here. Colonel, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
We have a lot to talk about. I don't know if you heard this, but Donald Trump says that the United States now, for realsies, controls the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, it makes me feel so good to know that, Trump is in charge. He's taking care of business, I feel safe, don't you?
feel very safe because, the crazy radical left Democrats, they're weak. I'm the peace president, but they're weak, and people are going to respect me. And, there were really conservatives going around and saying that shit, and they still say that stuff. And people align with this guy or align with the Republican grift because they think they align with their ideology, right? Like, it's still out there. Like, abortion is still talked about. Religion is still talked about. I went to a James Fishback rally, and James Fishback is the guy who got a lot of attention on X, but didn't get so much attention. I think he ended up with less than 20%.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. I said this before, and I'll say this again. I have a lot of experience with Florida elections. They are rigged. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is liked by nobody, yet she's been in Congress for 21 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, they had a primary down there, and that what is the guy? The Ukrainian guy that helped get Trump impeached first time for a phone call to Zelensky. Vindeman, Alex Vindeman. He was the Democratic frontrunner. I guess he had $12 million. And the lady in the primary, the Democratic lady in the primary, and she's running on I think a Democratic Socialists of America ticket. You know, it sounds like it. I'm not sure. I don't know her, but she's in the state house. She wiped the floor with him, and she'd raised $1 million. But the people, at least voting in that Democratic primary, rejected the security state Democrat storyline, because that's what Alex Vindeman is about. I mean, he's a neocon, he's pro-war. You know, it just, you know, it's kind of like the Democrats try to be like pro-war like the Republicans. Guess what? The people reject pro-war whenever they get a chance. And the Democrats certainly did it. They were running for the Senate nomination against whoever your Senate nominee is going to be. Who is that going to be?
In Florida?
Yeah, for the Republicans.
I have it up right here. It's the Democratic side.
Democratic side is this Angie girl. She just beat Vindman, who's the incumbent representative.
Yes, Alex Vindman. Her name is Angie Nixon.
Angie Nixon, yeah,
yes.
Cool. And then,
yeah.
But who will be the Republican?
I'm looking right now. It's going to be Ashley Moody.
Oh, that's right. She's the incumbent, and I forgot about this because you know, Lindsey Graham died, and before his body had even begun to cool, Trump called the governor of South Carolina, McMaster, and said, "Oh yeah, let's put Lindsey's sister in because she's really qualified." Of course, you know she's totally unqualified, but he pressured McMaster to put her in, and so now she's the sitting senator. Well, anyway, Moody got in the same darn way. I mean, I don't think somebody died, but Moody was appointed to replace Rubio by Trump, and I say by Trump, yeah, by Trump. I mean, because all of the state Republican parties suck up to him so bad that they're not representing anybody, and I think that the reckoning will. It'll be interesting to see what happens this fall. I mean, I don't love election time. That's not my obsession. I mean, I will, you know, I'm like the kind of person, I'll stay up till midnight on election night, but I won't stay up till 3.
All right. You won't push. You won't be crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm interested in what happens, but, and I don't know how well a lot of these Democratic Socialists will do. You know, they're running on some good things that I think are widely appealing to a lot of people. But they might be vulnerable to the typical tactics that go on. So I don't know how they'll do, but that Nixon, I do not personally, I'm not like getting behind Angie Nixon, but I saw her give a little bit of a speech just this morning. And I'm like, I like her. It's not ideology. I say, you know, I don't care what you think. Go up there and fight the fight because she's got what it takes. And so many of these candidates that are winning in these primaries, they're Democratic Socialists or something like that. They're to a person, they're anti-war. That right there is good enough for me. But many of them are very articulate and they're very passionate. And you know what? That's what you need up there. You can't think the party is going to help anybody. No Republican or Democratic Party, they're losers. They're not going to help anybody. So what you want to put in is we need more people that are believers, articulate, have a backbone, like Thomas Massey. But they don't have to be libertarian. They could be Democratic Socialists of America. They could be Green Party if they have the fighting spirit to go to D.C. and really turn to Congress, hurt the Congress, turn it upside down, make it feel the pain that it has made us feel. And so I'd be all for that. I think a lot of people may vote that way this time. They may vote basically like, you know, I hate the Congress and this person's going to make the Congress unhappy and work for me. And maybe nothing will happen. I'm cynical. Nothing will change. But these guys will inflict pain in Washington. Let's do it. Let's do it. Come up there.
You know what? I really wish I can get behind that, and I still try to get some hope. And you know, when election season comes around, for me at least, I'm happy about the rhetoric. It's just the conversations now, right? Like, what are we talking about in Florida? What's going on?
Yeah.
However, I just feel like we're kind of drifting back into the same kind of mentalities. I do believe that the establishment, I believe Thomas Massey was cheated heavily. I mean, when you look at all the numbers as an election integrity activist and you're looking at how things happen, it's like, yeah, this doesn't add up. But also the fact that some of these states, they have these closed primaries.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah. And then you can't tell what's happening. Yeah.
Not only that it's closed primaries in the election system itself, because like I took a picture of the machine that I went into. I'm like, it was early voting in Florida, in Palm Beach, Florida, right? I'm sure they had it in the whole state. And I'm saying to myself, I know nobody's staying here overnight with these ballots. They're open for 7 days. Like, who's guarding this stuff? This stuff can easily be tapped into. They're not going to count it here. They're going to bring it back to a tabulation center. I mean, these elections are so rigged out here in Florida.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they really crush any type of real populist movement. This kid, James Fishback, right, who I went and, I cornered him once again.
Yeah.
He's trying to win a conservative primary. When you get a primary, you get the guys drifting to the far right or the far left.
Exactly. Because you bring out those devoted, ideologically motivated.
Yes. I'm against abortion. Some girl said at the thing. I have it. Here, let me play this real quick because I think this is important. This is the stuff that just really it burns my ass. It drives me crazy. Here it is. Let's see. 1 second. Guys, you're watching Drive Time in the morning, or maybe you're just listening to us. The number is 561-247-2721. It's 561-247-2721. It's Wednesday. Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski is here. Y'all should jump on in and have a good time. I have a video. So we're talking about primaries, closed primaries, in fact, where you get the ideologues come out. I believe in abortion. That was there, whatnot, too, as well. But this is a quick clip. And I don't believe this to be true, but there's a lot of people, and there's people who still support Donald Trump, despite every single lie and every single failed promise. They support him because they still believe it's a two-horse race, that you can't think independently. Oh, yeah. It's got to be one team or the other, and that this guy aligns with me ideologically. Donald Trump aligns with me ideologically. Who are the people who come out? People like this.
I know a lot of us probably came from church event this morning. How will you assist in support to Christ believers?
Now, before he answers it, but we obviously have a religious war. Can I ask you your opinion? Can we start with that question? I'm going to just really quickly. Do we really have a religious war in this country, Karen? Or is it the oligarchy just trying to figure out ways to divide us? Is it really much difference between, excuse my French out there, if I'm going to hurt people's feelings who are religious, is there a difference between the allegories of Islam and the allegories of Christianity, or is it all the same shit trying to get to the same spot? Sorry to you out there who are religious. I don't mean to, but this is the thing that drives me crazy.
It's the same. I mean, we used to hear, we don't hear this anymore. We hear Judeo-Christian all the time, but we used to hear about the three main religions of the kind of the Bible, the ones that originated kind of in the Middle East area. And obviously Islam is part of that. They use the, obviously they have the Quran, religious books of the Jews are multiple, but the stories of the Old Testament are the same informing these two religions. And that means, let's say, okay, a lot of stuff in the Bible, very many things are said, much history is told, much other things are in there. But one thing that we kind of agree on is like those 10 commandments. And that fundamentally pushes out through all of global Christianity, all the Orthodox churches, the Catholic churches, the Protestant churches, okay, pushes out into Judaism. All the different sects of Judaism all embrace the 10 commandments, whether, it's in there. And then, of course, that also guides Islam, which has, I think, 2 or 3 billion folks. That's a good chunk of people all agreeing on a simple set. And actually, if you ask most people who aren't particularly religious, they still know what the 10 commandments are. So if we have a religion, not that we follow it, of course, because from 1 through 10, I think it pretty much are violated on a daily basis. But we all acknowledge this is the basic thing, and it's very simple. And then to top that off, you go globally to all the religions, all the different sects of Christianity and divisions, and all of the various parts of Islam. They all have kind of a golden rule which, in do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And there's different ways you can say it. It's the same message, and that transcends Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. That includes, all of the Asian religions and Hinduism and all that. Everything is about how do we live with other people, and this is the rule. And it's very simple, and everybody knows the golden rule. They may not know it as the golden rule, but they've all heard, do unto others as you would, reciprocity in how you behave. It's a non-violent message, and I think so. When it comes to religions, we are united to the extent that we are studious about our religion, which we're not. So we're united on the things we all agree on, which are the fundamental drivers of the religion. So yes, short, long answer to your question. Yeah, it's the oligarchy. It's the kingdoms of past days or countries, nations. How do we divide people? How do we get them on our side? How do we control them? And certainly the European. I don't know much about other religions, but in Europe, the Catholic Church and then later Church of England, both were used, and the Orthodox Russian Orthodox Church and the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and then all of these things are authoritarian architectures. They are structures of control which are hijacked or voluntarily merged with the government, which is the main authoritarian structure. To me, I always remember, we talk about the Crusades, and I go, well, that's the kings of Europe going on to do this stuff because whatever. But I was surprised to find out the Catholic Church had its own army, back in the day. So if you've got an army, you're a state. That's not a religion. I don't think Jesus or any of the, the prophets of the Old Testament were saying, God needs an army. He's really not all powerful. He has a problem, and he needs you guys to arm up and fight his battles for him, because he's kind of like Donald Trump. I'm really.
He needs you to go kill those. What is it? He needs you to go kill those idol worshipers. And
yeah,
but you saw the lady though too, right? Like, obviously, there's a religious war. There's no religious war. It's the ruling class dividing you again, and you're still. Do they really think? That Muslims are sitting around going, man, how do we get rid of all these infidels in the America? How do we infect them? They're coming here to acclimate. I mean, this is the beauty of New York, right? Like, you got to go to New York. Yeah. I got my Knicks cup over here, Knicks in 5, the New York Knicks won. But seeing all the videos on Instagram and TikTok of second generation Muslims here in America having so much fun with the Knicks fans in the streets. I mean, it was that's what it was. A Knicks game. That's what the United States is about. We're all different religious creeds, colors mixing together. Half of us don't give a shit, don't pay attention to the Bible, right? And those who love and pay attention to the Bible, they don't follow it literally, to the letter by letter. I mean, not everybody is perfect Christians and stuff, but there's a group of people who are fake Christians that run this country, who bomb Muslims on a regular basis. That's what you should be highlighting.
Yeah. This is so true. In fact, the so-called Christians in Washington and other parts of the authoritarian structure that we have that want war, and they don't. It's one thing to be bold and brave and to say, I believe in this and I need to go do this. Now, if you're an individual and you say, I believe I'm going to kill Muslims, and you go do it by yourself, you're going to jail for murder, because that's murder. That's not. Yeah. But if you're a Christian leader or somebody who's sponsored by them or has can make a storyline.
You want to talk about Luigi Mangione, don't you? Oh no!
I know, but it's
no, Karen, don't get yourself in trouble. You got a bunch of libertarians you got to be hanging out with and stuff, and the free market forces out there.
There's a rule. There's a law for them and a law for us. And that's when I say them, it could be the oligarchy. It could be the tech bros. It could be the neocons in Washington that want war. It could be, Bibi and Trump and whatever weird relationship that they have. It could just be the state, and it could be our government. As it is. These guys have a set of rules for themselves, which they take care of each other like a club, like a gang, and then there's a set of rules for all of us, the other folks, and that is typical throughout history. It's not uniquely American that we would have, look at the Soviet Union, look at any government you want to pick out. They do not hold the government. They once you have the power, you protect yourself. And we, the people, don't have the power, and we don't. There you go. Murder and legal murder. Absolutely. Yeah. And also, I think Stalin is credited. I don't know if he said this or wrote this or what. I don't know.
He didn't, but it's
it's like, yeah, you know, kill one or two, whatever. And then, but if you kill a million, you can, whatever. So
Stalin might have said that.
Yeah. I mean, but anybody could have said it. Any of these leaders, Trump could say it. Trump could say it. You know, here he is with the carrier. They asked him about the Abe Lincoln and possibility, you know, guys aren't being fed. They're jumping off, you know, off themselves.
Isn't that embarrassing?
Yeah.
And military personnel is a person who worked at the Pentagon, right? Like you went deep into the pain over here.
Yeah.
How embarrassing is what's going on these aircraft carriers that, I mean, by the way, what's really sad, and I'd really like to know their names out there. I hope somebody puts it up. I think there was 7 attempts at suicide on the Abraham Lincoln, right? On the USS Lincoln. 2 of them succeeded. So there's 2 kids who killed themselves because they were going stir crazy out at fucking sea for close to 200 and something odd days. I mean, I don't know if you spent any time in an aircraft carrier. I just went on a ride once before, but 200 and something odd days out there.
Yeah.
I couldn't do 30 days out there in that aircraft carrier.
Well,
forget about it.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things. One, first, I want to go back to what Trump said. Trump said they weren't out there long enough, right? Because not enough people have died for Trump yet. There'll be more. He wants more. He's never going to be satisfied. But no, the suicide, and also those are the ones, the suicides you're hearing about are the ones that word seeped out that these guys actually did a thing that was well known. We couldn't deny it was suicide. But, you know, you can kill yourself in a lot of ways through accidents. You can kill yourself through overwork, exhaustion. You can make mistakes. The mistake rate, the error rate due to exhaustion and poor food and anxiety and all this other stuff, no sleep. This kills people all the time on carriers in normal conditions, okay?
Yeah.
And it kills them on Air Force bases. It kills them in industrial situations, farms. And, you know, if you look at the deadly occupations, accidents with heavy equipment, accidents with things that are going fast. This is typical. So I would suspect that the actual suicide attempt rate is higher than what they're saying. So we know it's bad if we're hearing about this. But why should it be? Of course, we know the stresses and all that. But the thing is, Trump could care less. And I'll tell you something else, which is bad, and they don't want to talk about this. Our commanders could care less either. So Brad Cooper, CENTCOM commander, admiral, he could care less. The only thing he doesn't like about the suicides is it makes him look bad. That's all he thinks about. They have got these guys over there with no mission. First off, no clear mission of what they're doing. They don't understand why they're doing it. It is an unwarranted war. And these kids and the adults they're all adults, but I mean the kids and the mid-range officers and NCOs on those ships, you know, they came from watching on their feeds. And don't think most of them don't get on social media because that's pretty much a common denominator for Americans. We are on social media unless we're Amish. Even the Amish, I'm not sure, aren't on social media. So we're watching social media, and these guys left, I don't know, 9 months ago, maybe 12 months ago, the prep for the carrier. But they were already watching 2.5 years of U.S.-funded genocide in Gaza. That the Israelis, our best ally, who we are fighting this war for. You see, there's the connection. Like, okay, first off, we're sitting back home, we're watching, we're funding the Israelis, we're supporting them, they're genociding people, and it's all over social media, and we actually get to see it. We don't like it, we're disturbed by it. Then all of a sudden, and then we shoot up some Venezuelans, but that's okay. Well, you know, we want to whatever. If you support Trump, okay, whatever. But then they send, okay, now you're going to the Middle East, you're going to fight Iran for Israel. So you see a connection. First off, Israel's a scum pig country the way it behaves. It really is. I mean, it's a state. I shouldn't say a country. Palestine's great. Israel, as a Zionist state, is a dangerous and despicable country. And most Americans, in the statistics show this, Bibi Netanyahu is very concerned about this, have a bad view of the Zionist government there. We think that they're kind of criminal. They're certainly bad. They don't share our values. Okay, whatever. But that's what these guys all saw for 2 years before they went over there to fight a war for Israel. Okay, what do you think that does to people mentally? Now, we saw a tiny bit of this in Vietnam. I don't think it's popped up before because in Vietnam we had the draft. Yeah. People were watching, and it was a long war. So you'd hear about that war.
Finish up your statement. We do have a couple calls in the queue now.
No, I'm just saying. when people can see the hypocrisy and you're in the military and you're being asked to serve your country, but you realize you're not really serving your country. You're serving either a subset of people who want to make money, or you're serving, in the case of this Iran war, you're serving the interests of the government of Israel. That causes a disconnect that you cannot put a Band-Aid on. Okay. And that's the foundational thing. So then when the food goes bad and all this other stuff, you have a fundamental problem. It's a leadership problem. It's a Washington, D.C. problem. And it can't be solved. Anyway, we're seeing it play out. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And by the way, I'd just like to add, for those people out there who are hearing Karen bash on Trump, you supported Trump at one point. This ain't TDS right now. If you ain't bagging on Trump, man, then you got a problem. TDS is over with. The guy is one of the worst presidents ever. Look what's going on. The guy, he lies every single day. If you don't have TDS, then you need to wake up. TDS is over, pal. I love you guys out there. Let's take a call. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Stacy from Houston.
Stacy, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you got for us?
So I had a thought, and it's related, but you got to let me get there.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, so I was telling a friend yesterday that I kind of didn't like the slogan Black Lives Matter. I've never really liked that slogan. And so I started breaking it down. And I think the problem with that slogan is that it sort of tells white people that they're not in danger. You know, it kind of tells poor white people it's like you don't have to worry. But if you've got a cop that'll kill black people, it's not much of a lump and a jump over to killing poor white people. You know, it's like, you know, if you've got a kid in the neighborhood that kills dogs, it's not much of a stretch until he's starting to hurt people. If you've got Israelis that'll kill Palestinians, you know, it's not much of a lump, and they'll kill really anybody after that point to get what they want. So, I mean, I think some of this race baiting has the after effect of sort of letting white people know, don't worry, it only happens to those people, it's not coming for you. And I've always sort of thought, you know, it's coming for all of us.
Yeah.
That was my point.
Well, you want to hear something funny? Because I believe, like, sorry, let's break this down, because I'd love to hear the Colonel's opinions on this. And I put up on the screen, Black Lives Matter. Definitely want to hear about that. And pretty much you're saying that it wasn't the best slogan. That would you prefer, Stacy, all lives matter, or do you think that's a little bit condescending, whatnot? I mean, or do you think it's not the right message? Because the main point I want to make, and let me answer that question first. What do you think would have been better, by the way? Have you thought about that, other than Black Lives Matter?
I don't know. Well, I mean, stop killing us.
Yeah, there's a good one.
I like stop killing us. Just stop killing us, please.
Yeah,
you know, because and the other thing about it is that the solution is the same. The solution is the same, right? I mean, if cops are killing black people, or if cops are killing Native Americans, cops are killing people that they're not supposed to be killing, the solution is to fix the cops somehow. I don't know. You know, there's a million solutions, but the solution is the same. You know, I mean, because if they're being violent, they're going to be violent with everybody. They're not going to. You don't start once you get violence into your heart. You don't get like selective. You may start out selective, but it takes over everything. And then you know, and when violence takes over a society, everybody's game.
Yeah, you know, Colonel, I'm going to hand it to you.
I think that's what.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to interrupt, Stacey. I was just going to say I'm going to hand it to the Colonel, then I'll jump in after.
Yeah. Well, my alternative would be political lives don't matter, and then just leave it there. But I do think, you know, Black Lives Matter. You can't, you know, what are we going to do? How many different? I mean, my God, who's even black? I mean, black or white. I mean, we're kind of we're kind of a mixture. We are kind of a combination of a lot of things. So when we say that, it really limits the thing, because all lives matter. But that, of course, seems to diminish Black Lives Matter, which is not the intent there to do it. But you know what this brings to mind, and I've mentioned it before, but libertarian class analysis. You have the state, and you have those the state subsists upon and exploits, and that's all of us. So, you know, how do we say, you know, it's the authoritarian lives don't matter? Maybe we should just take a different thing. What doesn't matter? Because obviously Black lives matter. So do Chinese lives and, Christian lives and Jewish lives and Muslim lives, all lives matter. But when we say that, we're then getting sucked into the other side's argument that, well, see, you're just saying Black lives matter. That's a divisive point. No. How about we say, you know what, authoritarian state, your life doesn't matter. Your pocketbook doesn't matter. Your needs don't matter. Your authority does not matter. We are against it. Okay. We oppose it. We will not submit to it, and that's much harder. That's harder than saying, oh, it's a friendly thing to say lives matter. Of course they matter. Freaking shoot. The people who love animals, PETA would say human lives don't matter, but all animal lives matter. And I would agree with that too. They do matter. They do matter. But this whole thing is like a debate at the lower thing. And the real problem is the state. Okay, it doesn't work for us. It needs us to continue its profit sharing, the oligarchy, the broader, what Trump would call and what the Republicans call the deep state. I think the Democrats recognize it too. This permanent bureaucracy connected with all the moneymakers associated with state policy. I'm sorry, I'm in a kind of a bad mood. I saw that the Venezuelan gold that was stored 4,000 tons or something of it, stored in England, now being shipped to America because we have to take care of their gold, just like we have transferred all their petroleum products to New York banks to be redistributed to Caracas, just like we did 25 years ago in Iraq, which is still going on. We talk about Iraq. Oh, we moved our troops out of Iraq. Well, we didn't change where their oil profits go. They go to New York City and they get doled back and not doled back. We talked about this before. They put them in, they put actual paper dollars in crates, just like we did in Afghanistan for 20 years, fly it over and distribute it to our politicians for control. This is how we do. This is not, we don't do this. You and I probably never thought of even doing this, but this is how the state operates. Their lives don't matter. That's my opinion. And I'm going to leave the other thing alone, because we're already in a problem when we say that any lives matter.
Yeah.
Because you're already dividing people. What do you mean? Well, I'm sorry. I'm going to go off just a tiny little bit. There's a thing in the news about a police dog that got out, and I guess it got hit by a car, killed or something. And they want to make that how many dogs do cops kill that belong to people?
They want to make that a felony. Yeah.
No, you kill police dog. It's like, no, a state police dog lives matter, but your dog's life is easily to be sacrificed because a cop will kill it in 2 seconds. Not all cops. Some cops love animals and they won't shoot them, but a lot of them with their weapons will shoot them, and just like they'll shoot you. So again,
right.
I don't like this because it separates us from the beginning, but there is a problem. Our lives matter, and the state's lives and the politicians' lives, frankly, don't. They serve us. We should be able to change them out, remove their jobs, put them on the street at any moment. That's what we really should be talking about, and they don't want us talking about that because that's the big problem with them.
Let me address this while I got you here, Stacey, and thank you so much for calling in. We have a couple people in the queue, but I want you to stay for a little bit so we can address the question that you called in with, because this is something obviously that a lot of people have talked about. I do believe at the end of the day that Karen hit on the nose. The problem is the state. I rather say don't trust the state, but Lady Alex mentioned inside the chat, and this is something that's important. This is something that I heard when I go out to rallies. Don't tell these people how to protest. That's not your job, right? Don't tell these people what slogans they can use, right? I will say that there's some truth to the matter and a little bit weaponization, right? So in other words, the people who control these organizations, when it comes to Black Lives Matter, obviously those at the top have weaponized it. Patrisse Cullors siphoned a ton of money off this whole situation. She controlled the name and the national representation, and a lot of other groups broke off from the national Black Lives Matter group, the small individual groups, and I've met them. So there is a problem internally with the way things are. It does seem like it could divide us, but when you do look at the situation, Colonel and Stacey, you could say, okay, Black Lives Matter, white lives matter, all lives matter, but all lives are not equally at risk. And that's something that still goes on to this day. When you look at the statistics about who's in prison, like the arrest rates per capita of per people, white people to black people might be the same, but the conviction rates are not. I mean, black people, they hold maybe 20% of the population, but they yet in men's prisons hold 40% of the prison population is black. That's an issue.
Yeah, it's even higher for Native Americans, but like I say, the solution is the same, right? I mean, we don't mention Native Americans, but they're at an even higher rate than black people if you look at it population wise. So really the solution is the same. So we need to, I think we can acknowledge that there's racism there. Maybe that's part of the solution, but the solution is the same. We need to work on the solution. And we have to be careful about these vague language politics. No more kings, Black Lives Matter. This is vague language. This isn't stop killing us. This isn't we want the right to vote. It's vague. It has no demand attached to it. Okay? And the problem, I think, I've come to the conclusion that the problem is the whole idea of representation in the first place. There was who knows if it's true, but a teacher that did an experiment with this class to teach him about representation, and he had the class choose two representatives, basically a Democrat and a Republican or whatever. And all these kids got together and they decided what the rules of the classroom were going to be. And they decided all these rules that they wanted to be. And they elected their two leaders. And the teacher said, okay, you got to meet with me outside, and then we go in and we'll have the election. He met with both the kids and he told them, you both get A's if we only pass two rules. No bathroom breaks and no talking or something like that. And both of the kids walked in, one of them won, and both of them enforced the two rules and got A's. The kids didn't actually get to vote on what they wanted. They didn't vote on issues that, I want this in the classroom. They voted for some guy to do it for them, and the guy's corruptible.
Yeah.
It's like the original American lie.
Yeah. DJ Stevie D, I see you in the chat listening up to as well, and I agree, like, what I'm saying? But once again, that doesn't represent. If there's individuals at these rallies breaking laws, by the way, you charge them. You don't cast it on everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like the majority of people in Black Lives Matter in LA, the leaders, I talked to them, they were about peaceful protest. It was just other people joining the protest. And now you got one side of the country going, they're burning down our cities. Black Lives Matter is a radical leftist group. We got to get rid of it. No, I mean, it's just these things are weaponized. And I would just like to finish by saying this much really quickly, Stacey, because we do have to get to the next call. I brought this book right here. It's called Dangerous Misinformation. It's by Mary Talley Bowden. One thing that's not talked about, I think, and a lot of people don't talk about, that COVID was also a chance for us to unite, because I believe that the target, and this was a Malthusiast project, there are useless eaters' mouths, let's get rid of a lot of these people problem. Well, the most vulnerable, right, when it came to COVID, were the most likely to sign up for all the protocols, to take all the shots, to put themselves in harm's way, were white people, right? And I think this was a chance where they can go, wait a second, the ruling class doesn't care about white people either. Whitey's got to go. Yeah. That could have been the best uniting thing ever, and we missed that fucking opportunity.
And also, since you brought that up, I mean, one of the target groups that refused that were suspicious of government vaccine mandates were Black people, because why? But why do you think they would be suspicious of governments coming and telling you to roll up your sleeves? We're going to inject you with something. Why? Because of the long history that the Black community is aware of, that many in the white community probably don't even think about, that of how government uses them as guinea pigs. Okay, and they resisted this authoritarian demand to line up, roll up your sleeves, and take this untested shot because you're all a guinea pig. And it is interesting that that we are being unified. That COVID helped unify people with something I think is the real problem, which is, authoritarianism cannot be trusted. It should be extremely limited, and you need to retain your proper level of thought process. And the Black community excelled there, not because they don't like government or philosophy. They say,
They were used as lab rats once before, and they remember their fucking history.
You white folks taking this COVID shot, we have seen this somewhere in history. Let me think.
Right?
Let me think.
It's
Yeah,
sticky.
there you go. Yeah. So we're not going to jump on this bandwagon. We're gonna push back just a little bit. And that was wonderful. And of course, it was downplayed and it was seen by the government as a real problem. Oh my gosh, our black support, they're not doing what we tell them. God bless them. God bless them for not doing what the government tells them.
We got a couple calls in the queue, but Stacey, I'm going to give you the last 30 seconds. Thank you for calling in. The chat is lively.
I think she might have dropped. I think she hung up. I think she hung up.
Stacey from Houston, thank you so much. Man, I hope we see each other at the meetup. Let's get to the next caller out there. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Drive Time Show.
Oh, I love this. We get to hear the ring.
Let's see what happens. We're testing new phone system, by the way.
This is great, by the way. Here we go. We said we're upgrading. Hello?
You there, caller?
I'm here.
Hey, this is Tommy from 2J's. We're going to confirm your order. You got 5 salami sandwiches, 2 tuna fish sandwiches, and a bagel. No, we're all laughing. This is drive time. Who is it?
Am I on?
Make sure you mute your stream because it's going to be you need to listen to it through your phone because it's going to be delayed by about 30 seconds on your TV or whatever.
Yeah, I'm here. Are you guys? Am I on? Am I the next one?
Yes, you are.
Yep.
Who is it?
Wow, this is Steve up in Martin County. How's it going, Pasta?
What's up, Steve?
Hey, Karen has been on a lot of shows. The Colonel is very insightful. Always happy to see her on a show. I kind of agree with the last caller, but we got bigger issues, right? We just had BlackRock and all the big banks merge with NVIDIA. Have you seen that?
Vaguely paying attention to it. It seems like companies are merging every single day now at this point.
Well, this is huge. and this is a circular credit delivery to NVIDIA by BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, $500 billion to merge all the banks and tech at the top of our freaking government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Colonel, do you want to say something?
Well, the dollar's dying. Okay. The dollar's dying. That's what, as Americans, we say, oh, the dollar, it's great. Yeah, it has been great, but it's not great anymore. It's going away. 40 trillion in debts aren't getting paid. The collateralization of everything we have left in this country, and that includes human life, is happening. This is a competition for financial survival, and the state is a beneficiary of what these financial institutions that are global, like BlackRock and State Street and all this, are all part of it. And there's a financial war been going on for some time, and it's actually heating up quite terrifyingly. Okay. And we're not talking about that. We talk about the other wars, the real wars, like, oh, well, we're doing an illegal war in Iran, or we're taking over Venezuela. We're, trying to control oil flows around the world. Some of that's to prop up the dollar too. But the fundamental survival call is, how do the guys at the top make out when the dollar crashes? Because the rest of us are not going to make out. Just so you know, we're not making out. Okay. We're going to be, ants on the ground, looking to try to find safety. But those guys are looking at, how do we sustain our whatever, our money, our influence, our power.
They're going to move to Beijing, by the way. They're just going to pick up and leave and go somewhere else. We're going to be left behind.
Yeah, we're not. This is not about the average person in any country, but it's definitely not about what's good for the average American. And it's happening, and we're not talking about it. And one reason is it's very difficult to understand and comprehend these kind of things like money, which is all vapor anyway. It's all vapor. It's not like we're printing that many dollars. It's all, the perception of money, and they're managing that. very well, and they're trying to turn it into as many assets as they possibly can. I mean, they're collateralizing water. Fresh water is now something you can invest in and own a piece of in various parts of the planet, and now you can invest in that. Well, fresh water is going to become really valuable. I don't know why, because we bombed the country. Oh yeah, and so now you can make money off of the absence of fresh water, just like Trump does on oil every Monday morning.
Just like the California Gavin Newsom makes money off homelessness. Steve,
Yeah.
NVIDIA,
Yeah.
doesn't NVIDIA have the contract to the semiconductors? Aren't they the one who's going to get all that? Because we're breaking away eventually from Taiwan.
NVIDIA makes all of the CPUs for these data centers that are taking over all of America and causing all these small towns, especially the Midwest, to basically go erupt in political turmoil because they're trying to take over many, many thousands of hectares of land. So NVIDIA is in the middle of that. But the bigger problem here with all the banks now merging with NVIDIA is they're creating this CDO system like we had in 2008, the collateralized debt obligations, which creates a circular credit system, which is going to bring down the entire system.
Yeah, but we'll just invade another country.
The people at the top will benefit. From their perspective, it's genius. It's freaking genius. And so just shut up, people, because we're going to make out.
The Americans' pension plans, their 401ks, they get screwed. But those at the top, they never get to jail, and they get this money grab. And by the way, you know, there's things like quantitative easing.
No, they're going to bail them out. We're going to bail them out.
They bail them
every
out.
time.
We're invading another country, though, where there's other, you know, resources we can grab somewhere. We'll figure it out, Steve.
No, we won't.
Figure this out.
Oh my God.
So I want to just end on one lesson that we should all learn from, and that is, and hear me out on this one just for a few seconds.
Go ahead.
The lesson from Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino and Kash Patel went up to Washington as little bulldogs, right, with all kinds of messages of I'm bigger than them and I can get them, and all they did was come back with their tails between their legs, just absolutely trumping all over the place, right? Mr. Food Cart. I love Mr. Food Cart. So if that doesn't tell you something, that the mafia up there will scare you to death and make you change who you are, then nothing should get through to anybody.
No, that's true.
Steve, did you vote by any chance, though? I know you're in Martin County. Did you vote for governor, or you're independent, or you don't vote or participate, or it's not your thing? Or
no, I vote. I'm an MPP. Know what an MPP is?
Yeah, non-party.
No political, no party affiliation or something.
No party affiliation. Yeah,
I would never join any of these parties. No, I can't.
Yeah.
The thing is,
thanks,
so now
Jerry.
Both of the choices that came forth from the governor, though, they're both going to build data centers. They're both going to be flock camera friendly. That is why they wouldn't let anybody else kind of get in there. The guy, James Fishback, who, you know, was a typical Republican, other than the fact that he was a little anti-Israel and said we shouldn't send them money. And he didn't want any flock cameras. He said he'd make a law banning all flock cameras. And he didn't want data centers. So he had somewhat of a populist message, but they would never, ever let a guy like that come to fruition. Same with your NVIDIA boys, right? NVIDIA is not going to let that happen. This is what I'm saying. When people just go, Israel's stealing our elections. No, there's entities like NVIDIA. You think NVIDIA that has all this techware and whatnot that are plugged in to these data centers and these flock cameras that are going to record the data that we need the data centers from, you think that they're going to allow an outsider in that's going to ban flock cameras and data centers? It will never fucking happen.
Yeah. And
Thank
also,
you for calling in, by the way, Steve. Go ahead, Colonel.
Now, you have to realize, too, that the value of all the surveillance data that they are not just gathering, like with Flock, but then processing, which that's why one of the reasons they need data centers, this massive amounts of data to integrate everything they know about every person in real time. That's what the goal is, in real time, to know everything about every person. that is a creation of value, not to us, but largely to the state. Now, you could say, well, that's also important for advertisers. We're way beyond advertisers, okay? Advertisers don't need that. They don't need that in real time. They need historical data, whatever. But the state needs it in real time, because what is the state, NVIDIA, the investors of the state, the controllers, what is it that they're afraid of? Well, we know what they're afraid of. We're talking about it right now. They're afraid of people saying, I'm not doing what you tell me. And oh, by the way, I'm not only going to deface your flock camera, but we're probably going to we're going to pull the plug on your data centers. We're not going to let you take our water for them, or whatever it is. And so they don't like that. We are an armed nation. We have a lot of folks that are a little bit, we still have a tiny semblance of independence from the state. It goes through all of the parties and the people and the classes. We have a particular bad history with the state. We pick on the Second Amendment people. Well, you can pick on them, but they got an issue with the state on that Second Amendment in particular. And they have a past history of gun grabs and restrictions. So they say, okay, I know the state will hurt me here. Well, the Black community has a long history of being messed over by the state. We talked about the guinea pig thing with Big Pharma and state, the DOD, but it goes far beyond that. They've got the crack epidemic that the CIA did. They didn't go to the white country places. They went to the inner city, and they targeted and abused the Black communities in particular with that on purpose to make money, to pursue a foreign policy that had nothing to do with anybody. So we all have our issues with the state. If we got together with all these issues, which we will at some point in the future, it'll be inevitable. The state is in big trouble. So they are preparing for that future where we're not preparing for it. We're talking about it. We're not really preparing for it very well. But we're smarter than the state, so it'll come together quickly. But the state is preparing to make sure that we don't come together quickly. They're making sure that if any leadership emerges, and they're going to do, we say, well, Bongino and Patel, they had such great ideas. They were very populist ideas. They want to go after Epstein. That was a big thing because that's popular. Trump made that one of his that was probably his top 2 campaign issues, was Epstein. But then, of course, it was all a lie. They came back with their tail between their legs. Well, Patel's still there with his tail between his legs and doing nothing. Okay. So we say, oh, well, that's what happens. Well, actually, you know what, people? That does not happen to everyone, okay? Most Americans would not be like Patel and Bongino. Bongino and Patel they care what people think about him. Bongino was a podcaster. Patel was working government. He wants people to think a certain thing about him. Most Americans don't give a whatever about what other people think of them. And so we can't be compromised in mass like you can compromise a Bongino. Look, what did Bongino do after he served for a year? He went back and tried to revitalize his podcast, because that's who Bongino is. That's where he gets his, I need to get good guests. I need to have government contacts. He bowed down. He didn't get screwed over. He bent over. And that's what Patel does. And that's what they all do.
Yeah.
Most of it.
Well stated, Karen.
Steve, before I give you the last 30
one
seconds,
last thing?
Steven, but before I give you that, let me just say this much. What Colonel's also talking about is so true. I would have rather seen Tulsi Gabbard and RFK not get confirmed in their hearing for capitulating to the state, because that's not why we put them there to begin with, right? When I say we, were the people, because I really didn't do anything, but the people who supported them, they put them in there because they were supposed to upheave and turn over the table for the system. And as soon as they were in their confirmation hearing, they were capitulating to it. So by winning, they lost. They would have won if they would have not been confirmed, because they would have been sticking to the truth and what the people put them there for. Last 30 seconds, Steve, go right ahead. Or take a minute.
Hey, I just wanted to get off on a lighter note. So, Sean Duffy, right? The Department of Transportation. I was lucky enough to meet his daughter down here. And, what a doll. And she was Dan Bongino's protege. She was going to take over for Bongino when he left. And I got to tell you, that little lady, she's a cute as a button and a good person. And you saw what happened when he went to Washington. She disappeared.
Yeah.
So you've got Sean Duffy up there. He's the real man, by the way, up there in administration. You ever see the videos of him climbing trees? He was a
No.
championship tree climber. He's
Really?
got 7 kids. This is a real man. Yeah. Watch he's crazy.
Oh, that's cool. I have to look into that.
They won't let the real men talk. Yeah, they won't let the real men talk. They'll let Trumpy, the food cart surfer, talk.
Yeah.
But, I just want to say thanks, guys. You're doing a great job. Karen, thank you. Pasta, thank you. Sleepy, thank you. Take care.
Steve from Martin County, thank you. Fun caller. Awesome stuff. Great calls this morning. Stacy from Houston, Steve from Martin County. Martin County is kind of like on the way up the coast. I don't know. It's west. It's a little bit inland, but I don't know. We got to find a way to get through and stop by and see Steve when we have this PastaCon eventually, when we get this done. We'll figure it out, though, guys. And we have new phones. Like we had the whole system where it called you back. Steve was the first one. You can call on in. You don't have to sit on hold. So if you want to get on the show and you want us to call us back, what you can do is you can call on in. Then it will tell you. We will prompt to call you when you're ready. You can go back to listening to the show, folding your laundry, making some coffee, doing whatever you got to do. But we'll know when it's time for your turn. Like right now, it says one person in the queue. Caller, who are you and where are you calling from?
You're live. Hello?
Hello? Can you
There
hear me?
Yeah, you're live. You're live. Let us know who you are and where you're from. Oh, it's Joanna.
Hi, Joanna.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. What's going on? What do you got for us today? You have a fun day of voting? Did you get your sticker?
I actually missed it. I've been recovering from surgery, so it's been hard for me to move around much.
Aw.
So I
Good luck
didn't
with the
actually
recovery.
vote this time. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to point out, I know we were talking about race and all of that, and it's just when I hear when they're like, people saying, oh, well, they don't like Black Lives Matter, the slogan, because it doesn't include them. It's like, well, it's not supposed to include you. It's not about you in that scenario. And I get it. I get where they're coming from. But at the same time, it's like, you have to make everything about you, and that's the problem. Just being Black on the street is an inherent threat to a lot of people. It's just because you're Black. And then they will try to get away with arresting people, so that the numbers are skewed that you're talking about. You know what I look like. Clearly, I am not a white person. Yet, when I got arrested when I was younger, and on my paperwork it said I was white. And they do that a lot, where they mark people white that are not really white. So the numbers are skewed to just looking at it and saying, oh, there's this many Black people. There's more than that.
There's too many anyways. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's obvious that people, do you ever see the movie Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking the gin and juice in the hood?
It's a fantastic movie.
Fantastic movie. But one of the parts, and it could be funny, but it's like, it's so true. It's like, we got arrested for being Black on a Tuesday. It's like, geez. I mean, thanks for making light out of it, but it's true. I mean, it's just like, you see in a lot of the videos nowadays too, for the cops, they just grab people, arrest them, no due process, throw them in your car. So right now, as the numbers stand, even with those numbers being skewed, it's too hard. What we're looking for is equalness across the board, right? Which, by the way, Colonel Karen pointed out, the main thing too is that the state's coming for everybody. It's very class oriented.
That is for sure. I agree with that. But if you just when I look at my son, right? My son, obviously is a Black kid. He's now going into high school. He goes to a really excellent school. I know I've talked about that before. The population of that school is pretty diverse. But his friends are all, they're Spanish, light-skinned, white passing. And I have to have this conversation with my son. Like, you need to understand that they're going to look at you differently than they are your friends. And you have to be cognitive of that. And like there was this one time, I was sitting in the parking lot of LA Fitness, and a security officer, well, there was this kid who had came up to me, and he was asking to use my phone because he was looking for, he was clearly a kid, but he was like maybe 14, 15. And he asked to use my phone to call his mom, who was like in some part of it was like a shopping complex. So there was a bunch of stores and stuff. And his phone died and he was trying to find his mom. So I gave him my phone. He called his mom. That was the end of the conversation. While I'm on the phone, while he's there, a security guard comes up and says, "Is this kid bothering you?" And I was like, "No, he's just asking to call his mom." And he was like, "Oh, well, there was a lady over there. He asked somebody else, and they said there was a grown man trying to steal phones."
Jesus Christ.
What? It's clearly a kid. And the security guard looked at him and was like, he was Spanish too. And he looked at him, he's like, "Yeah, that's clearly a kid, not a grown man." But there's people like this out there. And let's just say that lady didn't go to a security guard that was there and instead went to the police. Instead said, "You know what, I'm going to call the police. There's a grown man over here, whatever." They're going to come guns drawn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's scary for Black kids out here. And I told that story to my son. He wasn't with me at the time. And I told him, I said, "You got to understand that things like that kid coming to me, he was fine, but he can't just go up to anybody. Because unfortunately, he can't just go up to white people because you don't know what that person is in their head thinking. And that kid could have gotten arrested, could have been guns drawn, had a whole bad situation just because his phone died."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
scary. You know,
yeah.
These are experiences that a white kid would not have that experience, whether they go up to a white person or a Black person. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. So we showed a picture of Luigi, a cartoon with Luigi Mangione, right? Where it showed one guy killing another guy. It's called murder. The other guy, who's behind the desk, who denies all their insurance claims. He's a hero, whatever the case may be. So the majority of, and I would assume this, and I don't know this for a fact, the majority of policies that weren't signed, right, were probably from white people, because the majority of the white people own the policies. And that's why COVID was a very cynical thing, right? Because it was really targeted at whitey, because a lot of people a lot of the owners of these companies didn't want to pay for the insurance and the health care for their clients moving forward. If they can get rid of them, they don't have to pay for all that shit, right? So, that was the thought process. So that just shows you an area in our society where white people are kind of under attack, right? Like the ruling class doesn't give a shit, what's going on. What you're witnessing, what you're talking about with that kid is a way that the ruling class uses race to keep us divided with amongst each other, fighting with each other. Like that's what that does.
I totally agree with that. There is a ruling class. It's when it comes to the general society, it is definitely a class war. It has nothing to do with race at all. But what happens is that they pander to regular people who then see it as a race issue, and they make it an everyday life race issue for everyday people. And that's what Black Lives Matter is about. That it's not about the class war. That's a different type of war that's going on. And it's like it's being conflated. But I definitely I agree with that 100%. It's mostly a class war, pandering to regular people who are living their everyday lives, going to work, getting a paycheck, whether you're a police officer, you're a teacher, whether you're whatever you do, working at McDonald's. Because that the people regular every day, when you're walking down the street, it's a race war that's pandered by people who really, it's a class war. But I think it's two different things, and they shouldn't be conflated. And it's okay to acknowledge the everyday struggles that Black people face versus what the general class war that's going on, where those with money and those with power are pandering to that. This is why I've said this before. I don't think Trump is inherently a racist. I don't think he gives a damn about that. It's about class. It's about power. If you don't have class or power, but you'll pander to the racism, for sure. But deep down, it's really just about class.
Yeah. So how do we get everybody aboard? Like somebody's in the chat, we're looking for solutions, right? How do we get everybody aboard? I mean, the reason why I always point out class over race is it's not that I don't think that we don't have racial issues. It's not that I don't think that they're important. It's just that I'm looking for anything for unity. And when we look at things from a class, through the class lens, we can understand that it's the oligarchs versus the rest of us, rather than if we get divided by race, religion, creed, the whole thing. In other words, the class issue seems like it could be more of a uniting factor, because that's what it's really about. You even just said it's about class and power. How do we unite around class, but then still get people to realize what's going on, that there are racial issues that are being weaponized? What are your thoughts on that, Joanna?
I think that we have to acknowledge both. We can't discount the everyday racism that happens to everyday people, because that's what mostly people are going to see. But then also when you're talking about it on a class systemic issue, that's where wanting to get the DEI and to get rid of that. Well, if you put more people of color in power, it inherently will. I feel like it will fix the class war that we're having. But with all of the and I don't think it's gonna not necessarily. I think it will help if there's more regular people that get involved, and that's hard. Because it's hard to get involved when you're thinking about how am I going to afford this surgery I need? How am I going to afford my rent this week because my kid was sick and I had to miss work and I don't have PTO? Like, there's so many different things that come into play here, and it's a difficult conversation because on one hand it's like, well, we should have a living wage. I think the living wage, the gap there is the biggest problem, but we can't tell companies to pay what people deserve because it's a free country. They can, they're private companies. They can pay what they want to pay, and people are going to take it or not. And there's always going to be somebody to take it because people need money. We need to survive. That's how society operates.
To fight back against. Because a company that's selling something, a company that's making something is usually taking something out of the ground. We're one species on one planet. We got to all live here together. So if they're taking shit out of the ground, especially if they're taking shit out of the ground at one place to use it at another. I'm gonna just mute real quick because you got some noise going on in the background, Joanna. Joanna? Yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
They're taking stuff out of the ground, and you know what I'm saying? That's our stuff. Water is important. We should all own the water. I don't know. There's ways that we can combat this. Colonel, let me let you jump in there really quickly and give your quick opinion. I'm going to coffee up, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm thinking of when we talk about especially the poverty and the struggle that people and this transcends Black, poor, white, anybody is struggling, and most people are. We need to not forget the role of the Federal Reserve, the role of the state in basically purposely inflating, so the government can borrow for wars and other things. They're not borrowing for welfare. They're not borrowing for, to try to help people out. They're borrowing for wars and white elephant projects or whatever, things the government projects, friends, oligarchies need investment, whatever. And print money. They used to print it. They don't print it anymore. They make it available electronically, and they create debt. And this debt that they're giving to their tech bros and the war bros and the friends of government and empowering the state to surveil the American people in preparation for what's coming, all of that money, that fake money, debt that's being created, is on our backs, and it deflates our currency. And if we look from the first 100 years of our country, inflation wasn't even something people talked about. There were a couple of booms and busts. They were small, but inflation was very, very small, under 1%. Some years it was deflation. Okay. Can you imagine deflation where you actually get more for your dollar? That happened in the 1800s, multiple years. So, but after the Federal Reserve was started in 1913, it then said, okay, the quantity of money is important, but it's just like a person printing money in their basement, right? Let's assume you got a really good printer. You're going to make money. You're going to make a bunch of 20s. Well, you've got these 20s. Nobody knows they're fake. And you're buying assets with them. You're buying food, cars, whatever you want with your 20s. And then those 20s are in the system. Okay. But they're fake. They're not real. They're not authorized. And at some point, some guy got paid his McDonald's wage back in the 70s with these 20s that were fake. And the government says, oh, wait, those are fake. You can't have those. The bank seizes the money. You're done for. You have no recourse whatsoever. You're using fake money. And as far as they know, you made it. I mean, they have contempt for you when you didn't do anything. That's the Federal Reserve in a nutshell, except on steroids for this country. So we're working, in the 70s, this is common knowledge, black or white, one income. You could have a car, a house with a garage. You could raise your kids. They could have bikes. They could go to school. Okay. Mm-hmm. That was on one income. You can't do that on 3 incomes today. Okay. Sometimes 4. And that's if you can get full-time work. Because if you can't get full-time work, you're working 5 jobs. Okay. Just to have a 1970s, which wasn't the best decade for the economy, but just to have what people had in the 60s and 70s in terms of this is a life we are building in our city.
They can do it on a high school education.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So what I'm saying is, because and I'll tell you what set me off is, the idea of a, what is it, living wage or even, I don't think you said that, but the idea of paying people a basic, what is it called? Standard basic income or something. Anyway, okay. Sounds really good, right? And it focuses on, well, I need more money. Okay. Well, guess what? If you need more money, the government's happy to print it. Okay. But it doesn't buy anything. So purchasing power is what the problem is. That has been destroyed by, you can say, oh, that's the Federal Reserve. No, the Federal Reserve is government. Okay. The Federal Reserve exists because the government wants to spend money without asking us for it. The government wants to go to war without consulting Congress or the people as to if this war is necessary or justified. And they've done that since 1913, pretty much. And so what we're seeing is a devaluing of our money. This is, you can pick countries that have terrible inflation. Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe in the 80s. They had $1 trillion bills in Zimbabwe, little pieces of paper, money. Said $1 trillion, whatever, 1 trillion of whatever the currency was on a piece of paper. And what could you buy with $1 trillion? Maybe a loaf of bread, maybe something like that. But the purchasing power is degraded. And a lot of what people in this country and the group that we would consider poverty in the 70s, of course, is 50% of the population, maybe more, maybe 60%. The middle class, what we used to call the middle class, is really not anymore. It is struggling. They're barely they're underwater in every way you can think of, and working hard and not getting ahead and being frustrated. Okay. The government said, oh, we'll give you more money. I don't want your money, government. Your money's worthless. I would like to have $1 that buys something. I would like to have pay that is, if nothing else, on par with what I was paid and what I could purchase with my salary in the 70s. And we're not going to get that. We will never get that from government. The government has a gig going. They're running us. Okay. And this is what it looks like. So I would disagree with the solution of having the government do more. I want the government to do a lot less, and I want it to get out of the money business, the money printing business, which is what
that's interesting points, Colonel. We do have somebody in the queue, so I want to give Joanna the last 30 seconds to put a bow on it. But I will say this too: there is, coming up with a solution, right? because what Colonel was talking about is true for everybody across the board, right? That dollar is the same for a poor white family than it is for a poor black family. And I think sometimes we can get caught up, and it's really tough because I understand where you're coming from, because I'm in the state of Florida and I'm going around and I'm still looking at people. I'm like, guys, you guys still got fucking racial issues. You still got religious issues. It's 2026 over here. Can we get our shit together? So I know where you're coming from, especially living in the state, because people don't understand Florida. Like, there's this understanding, I think, sometimes between the black community and the white community. And a lot of times the black community, this is something I talked to your father about, right? They know, like, the white person over there thinks they're, is biased against them. Yet there's this kind of respect. They're like, okay, at least you're letting me know how you feel, and I know how you feel, and we can kind of coexist. But the fact that these things, these parameters still are fucking here, and mainly from the white community, right? But there is a problem, I think, sometimes with some of the people in the black community could paint a picture for all white people. Like, I'll tell you this right now, Joanna, there is no white guys meeting. I ain't going to one. It doesn't exist, right? You know what I'm saying? We think independently. So I'm going to give you the last 30 seconds. You can take the last minute, in fact, before we get to the next caller, try to put a bow on this whole situation, because I am a little frustrated too as well, because it seems like we go 2 steps forward, but then 3 steps back. Joanna calling on Drive Time, everybody.
Right. Yeah. So one thing I just want to make clear is that when I was talking about income, I wasn't talking about the government giving income. It's more of setting a living wage so that people can live. We have a minimum wage. The minimum wage is not a living wage. And I think, and it's because of everything that you talked about with the inflation and the dollar not going far enough. And I think it needs to catch up. It's so frustrating to, I feel, let me just make this clear. I'm very fortunate in, the company that I ended up working for and where I am today. But the company I work for is very unheard of. The programs that my company offers is not something that a lot of other companies do. And they do pay very well. And I don't have any formal education. So I feel very fortunate to be where I am. But it's just companies aren't like that. And if we give this power, like we give these companies all these kickbacks and all these things, and then they have the choice. And the idea is that the companies are supposed to give back to their people, right? They're supposed to pay their people with this. They're supposed to go ahead and do more for their employees. And in fact, that's not what they do. They pocket it and buy another yacht. And, that is where it's, I get where Republicans would say, like, we want less government. We don't want them involved in private companies, because if we give more back to the companies will do more for the community. But that's not actually what happens. Not in the majority of cases. In some, yes, there's companies out there for sure, but they're slim pickings. It's really hard to find. So, that's where I lean more, well, we need some more regulations. We can't just deregulate everything. What happens when we deregulate everything to make it easier for companies? Well, now we have everybody now has explosive diarrhea over lettuce because we've deregulated, saying it's fine. Like, there's a balance that has to happen, and we definitely have not found that balance.
You're right. The lettuce thing is a prime example of what happens in all these corporations. He's a friend of Trump. The guy that runs a lettuce company that has all this and that's responsible for the explosive diarrhea. He's gotten huge subsidies from the federal government. So he is regulated. But he got to write the regulations because he's a friend of government. And so this is where my distrust of the government can solve this. The government's not independent. The government is owned by whoever buys them. And one of the things these companies do with their extra money, and I know from a military industrial complex perspective, which is what I'm more familiar with, is the first thing they do with their money when they take profits. And of course, they do invest in their company, sometimes their people, but they also invest in politicians. They invest in lobbyists, and they invest in people who like the regulations, and you can pick your industry and they all have a lobbying arm. And so when so I get it. I mean, it would be nice if you had an objective, rational, representative government that cared about the people that put the government in there, the people that it is responsible for according to the Constitution. It's responsible to the people, but they're not responsible to the people. So if they want to do more regulation, just like Big Pharma's regulated. Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, and they wrote the regs. They wrote the regs in Congress.
Joanna, thank you so much for calling in. We do have a caller in the queue. I appreciate it. We need to talk more about these solutions. There's a movie called Bobby that was directed by Emilio Estevez. And there's one scene, I think it's amazing. And it's who's the guy who plays Morpheus? Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
He's in it, and he has this scene, and he's talking to Freddie Prince's character, who's really upset, Latino guy. No, Freddie Prince's friend, Latino guy, who's really upset, whatnot. And he kind of lays out his kind of tactic on, dealing with white people and whatnot and stuff. And there's a scene where he goes, these white people, they think they got to be the great emancipators. And he's like, so what? Who cares? Give it to them. As long as we are advancing the ball down the field and we're making progress as a society, I think that's better. Now, I'm not saying that's the way it needs to go, right? Like me and Fiorella would talk about stuff. My business partner from Truthwine, she's like, why do people of color who've been taken on the chin, why do they have to freaking capitulate to the white people to get them along? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, if we want results, shouldn't we figure out a way to get results? And I don't know what the solutions are and stuff like that, but I am looking at different people with different ideas. And it is a quagmire nonetheless, but I think your call was amazing. Thank you so much, Joanna. And we'll speak again soon. Sound fair?
Yep. Thanks. Take care.
Thank you. You have a good one. Joanna, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, I can't pay attention to the chat and to the show at all the same time, but I would just want to say play nicely in there. Let's not get too crazy, right? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes these issues are hard to talk about. People have different opinions. It's easy to get offended. Let's not get offended out there, please. Like I said, I can't pay attention to all. I'm trying to pay attention to Joanna and Colonel Karen. And our next caller, is he there? Are you there, caller?
Yes.
Who is it and where are you calling from?
Who's it? Sleepy? Oh,
This is
hi.
Craig.
Pasta. It's Alex.
Lady Alex.
It's Albuquerque Alex. I had to call in. Hey, peeps. Hello.
So you
Just
got
a
some
couple
stuff
of
to
things.
say. I know you got some stuff to say. Go ahead, Lady Alex. Hit it with it.
Bubbling, broiling, and well, let's just okay. First, just a general statement about, we have all these problems, of course, this like a list of 1,000 problems that we're dealing with, checkbox, everything. You could just go down the list. But I step back and look at it and go, we're framing everything within this current system. Like to get justice, our wages have to be higher. To get justice, housing must be made available and affordable. Everything that, healthcare, it should be Medicare for all. I mean, we're framing the things that we want within the construct of our current system. And I don't agree with that. And I'm not alone in that. But I don't know what I know what my dream solutions will be, quote unquote dream. And I don't see them being realized in reality, but I don't see them being realized within the current framework of our capitalistic system. I don't have the answers. I know what could be. I know what I would want it to be, and that's as far as I can go. But to frame it like things will change and then we proceed to say we want them changed, and it's all according to our current system and improving everything with all the aspects of our current system. And I don't believe that that's where we should go. I just wanted to throw that out there. I know, you know what I mean? As far as Black Lives Matter and all that other stuff, I come from a background. I'm from New York City. I grew up in the 60s and 70s in that environment. I'm a white person, so that's my experience living in that environment. But and I also come to everything I feel being me. with all those experiences, and. But as far as us white people have no business saying a peep to any person of color or anybody that is a person that has been abused and murdered and slaved in this country. I mean, I might disagree with the organizations that they might form, and they do too internally, but stepping back again, I have no business criticizing these people in general, and I don't feel it's my place. But I worked in prisons in New Mexico, and guess what the population there was? 95% Native American, because that's where I'm living in New Mexico, and all the problems and working in prisons and working in mental health for years, seeing that close up and seeing a lot of different things from my experiences with populations. Now, Black people have been enslaved. Native American people are, and they're still, and Native American people are being abused and, suffering the repercussions of what the white people did and are doing to them today. And so I acknowledge that. But this whole thing of all lives matter, I think is disgusting. I hate that, of white people saying, Black people shouldn't say that. All of us are suffering, yes. But I hate when we say, well, we shouldn't, all of us are suffering together, yes, but not the same. And I think it's important to look at what the colonized and abused people, other populations other than the whites have gone through, and look at their particular situations that are different than ours. No matter how much white people suffer in this country, they will never know what it's like to have a Black kid walk out of the door every single day and never know if they're going to come home. And Native people living here, I live in Albuquerque, there's 19 quote unquote reservations. They're over, let's see, there's 40 to 50% of them don't have clean running water. I mean, there's a lot going on, and their land is being polluted by the uranium mines. The government wants to destroy Chaco Canyon, which is I've been there for millennium, and start drilling. I mean, there's so many things. It's hard. It's so overwhelming if you sit back and look at all the horrors in this country and the world.
Let me ask you a question, lady.
It's just unbelievable.
I want to jump into this. Let's have a conversation. Let me get myself in trouble over here, okay? Because
you're already in trouble, so continue.
I know, right? So, shit,
I'm only joking.
Well, you did say something that's very important, right? And let me, as a disclaimer, right? So I called in, Alex Stein was filling in for James O'Keefe on the show. James O'Keefe is the Project Veritas guy. These are Trumpers, obviously. Alex Stein, pretty popular comedian out there, was known for going to city councils dressed up as like a doctor and mimicking, mocking all the COVID. So you guys know who Alex Stein is. So Alex Stein was filling, and I called in, and they had this conversation. And now with this guy, James Fishback in Florida, who's running too, and a lot of people that, interviewed him and asked him questions, they would always ask that question: is it okay to be white? Like they're talking about this white men are under attack kind of mentality right now, right? Like, because the weaponization from a certain group, they're saying, I gotta say this, right? Like, I think that's the biggest crock of shit out there as a white man in a lot of ways. Within the system we have, I'm living flying high, right? Like, forget about it.
You're living La Vida Loca compared to.
But that doesn't mean that I don't face financial problems, can't get a job, all that other stuff. You mentioned something. We're talking within the frames of this system. White people have more privileges than Black people within the system we have, right? That's known there, and that's there because they want to keep us divided. How do you keep divide and conquer? You give one group of society, one part of society, more privileges than the other. They'll fight each other rather than fight against the people who doled out those privileges in the first place, right? So understanding that I'm a white guy, I have my privileges, but understanding also that within this system, the oligarchs and the ruling class don't give a shit about me, right? Like, there are houses foreclosing on white people every single day. White people are losing their jobs and going for food stamps every day. How do we transcend through the whole thing that, yeah, I'll never know what it's like to have a black child walk out the door. My sister does, right? Like she has to see that now, and she's kind of recognizing like, holy shit.
That's frustrating because, yeah, I can relate to what you just said, your argument.
And transcend outside that system and understand that we're all under attack. Please go tackle it, Lady Alex.
Yeah. We're all on, like I said, all of us as a whole, are being oppressed. We're all suffering. There's a lot going on in general, but in particular, which has been the history of it since people came over here and took the land and genocided the native peoples, our history, which we fail to want to acknowledge, of course, still, they're the native peoples, the black people that were brought over here, they're still suffering from the repercussions of what has happened to them. And we have to recognize that, of course. They're not living in the same reality as we are. But as getting all together, that's one, like I said at the beginning, there's this dream, what the best, if we could all come together, the proletariat rises, we all, workers of the world unite. I mean, all this stuff. It would be so wonderful. And then I sit back and go, the majority of, I've been alive for 67 plus years already. And in my experience living all over the country and working as a nurse and all the things in my life, the majority of people, and I don't care if they're a doctor, have degrees, it doesn't matter, are so emotionally stunted and ignorant and xenophobic on so many levels. And so I find it, we could present people with information, lead them to information, and within 5 minutes, anybody can go online, and in 5 minutes they can get information and then figure it out, So there's a problem with the majority of the populace of this country as far as awareness, emotional development. There's an inherent lack of awareness. I know that's a generalization, but to see the truth. And so, it doesn't matter if, I don't get into the Democrat, Republican, red, blue. I reject all that crap 100%. I'm not into that. It's just all these years, no matter who you are and what you've achieved and what you are, and people just don't have that that introspection, that self-awareness and understanding of reality of this country and history. There's a lack of emotional development. There's like the majority of people I've encountered on every level just don't have it. And I don't see that changing. So,
let me jump in.
Until that's the dream. Yeah. We all get together and we want to have a better life and love each other and kumbaya. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Ain't going to happen. Sorry.
But listen, let's get the Colonel here. Colonel, I agree that the oligarchy's after all of us. We're all useless eaters in their minds. At the end of the day, when they blow up this planet and go underneath the ground into their shelters that they built, they're not letting me in. Even though I'm white, I'm not getting in the door. It's just not happening. However, post-Civil War, 40 acres and a mule, black people didn't get that. They call it the White House. They should call it the Black House because it was built by black slaves. They are due what's owed to them, right? So with knowing all that and understanding they didn't get their generational wealth, they didn't get their 40 acres and a mule, even though the oligarchy's after us, how do we square that circle when still what I think Lady Alex was talking about, what Joanna had talked about, there are still people who kind of look at black people as the problem and white people are looking at themselves as victims nowadays. Like, it's okay. Be proud to be white. I'm like, where are you fucking getting this from? Please jump in, Colonel, before I go rambling off again.
No, I mean, I think to address the last part of what Lady Alex was saying about the lack of awareness, emotional stunt, I agree with that. And also, if you look at how we spend our time and how we have our recreation, our Hollywood time, our gambling time, all the things that the state's very interested in putting up. I mean, how many states have lotteries and advertise with your tax dollars about you need to go buy with your limited money that you can't even, buy a lot. So we are preoccupied on purpose. State wants us preoccupied. And that is also part of that same framework that we are operating in. So I wouldn't say we're emotionally stunted because we're just naturally emotionally stunted. I think it's in the interest of the government to keep us that way. And I just want to say, I'm not going to address all of it. It's all good stuff, but what I was thinking of a little bit is Taylor Sheridan is a director of movies. He did Yellowstone, and that's considered to be targeted. It's a Western drama. It's already over with 5 seasons or whatever. But it was a drama, and I think was really targeted to the kind of the red state, the Western kind of fantasy, and it was entertaining and well done. He does lots of stuff. He does war stuff too, which are just brutal, and I don't like him. I don't see him as an anti-state character. However, he had a spin-off of Yellowstone, and I can't remember if it was 1920 something or if it was I think it might have been precursor. I'm not sure. Anyway, let me tell you what was in that. And anybody some people would say, oh, I'm not watching that Western white man bullcrap history revisionism. I'm not doing that, right? I'm not gonna watch that. Well, let me tell you, he had one of his shows had a running part of it, which was a big part of the story, which was the treatment of Native Americans in Montana, Kansas, South Dakota, that whole kind of upper Western area. And because it's Taylor Sheridan and he's extremely brutal. I mean, he's a brutal and talented director. I mean, it's in your face. It is harsh. I think anybody who watched that, I don't know if I'm not going to generalize and say it was probably white people watching it. I don't know, but they got an education in what you see and have seen in Albuquerque with the prison population and how the tribes, how the Native Americans have been not just treated initially, which was pretty much like I guess Israel treats Gaza, but after the fact too, repeated lies, promises not made, putting them on terrible land until we find out there's something we want and then taking that too. And there has been, and Hollywood has done a little bit too, because there was another movie I didn't watch, but having to do with what was done in Oklahoma to the tribes once they discovered, I don't know if it was oil or something else, and they moved in to take what little had been allotted to them. But that's, you don't even have, you can watch TV sometimes and get some education. And I do think we're doing that. Not people are watching TV. The old the boomer generation is a lot of TV watchers. They're going to watch Yellowstone. My kids don't watch Yellowstone. But episodes of that Taylor Robinson storyline on how the Native Americans were treated, that got out there. Little scenes got out there all over social media, and people are, I think, more people than you give credit for, because we're in our 60s and we say, well, people I hang out with my age, they're not, I don't see change. But I'm gonna tell you, we're not as, people do know. And I don't think the younger people are as emotionally stunted, maybe, as those of us, particularly boomers. I speak for my kind of generation in a way. We are definitely inside the framework. Okay. We are products of our government. Our government paid a lot of attention to shaping our worldview about what's good and bad. I mean, this post-World War II period of constant wars in the United States in the name of peace and democracy, we pretty well bought that. Not you and I didn't buy it. A lot of people didn't buy it, but this was the thing we were sold. But I'm telling you, the younger people are not biting on that. They're not participating in that. They're going their own way. And again, as a small L libertarian, I think, and one last thing I want to say about Pasta, you mentioned generational wealth. There's no doubt stolen, extracted, lied about Black people in particular, that whole legacy, which stole generational wealth, made sure it couldn't happen, on purpose, by design. Okay. Yeah. But if
Wall Street getting burnt down in Tulsa, we all know that story too as well. I mean, it's
absolutely. But let me tell you this. So when I used to watch more TV, we used to have the Home and Garden channel, right? HGTV. Okay. a Disney product. Okay. Government product. And they had House Hunters, which everybody's familiar with the House Hunter show. You don't watch it much anymore because nobody can afford any of the houses that are out there. But generational wealth amongst Black buyers, the discussion of I'm Black, I'm gonna buy a house, I'm gonna buy a condo, I'm gonna buy something. And then they talk to the people and they say, well, why are you buying this house? Well, my grandparents could leave me nothing. They had nothing. And parents the same way. But I'm not doing that. Okay. I'm going to buy a place that I can use and create and enhance and maybe sell it, maybe use it equity to buy something else. And I'm going to produce generational wealth. And their kids are there listening to them going, yeah, mom, you sure are. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And I think that's the answer. We need to do what we need to do. Exercise what liberty you have, or the last bit of it will be gone. So what we can do, and I think Black folks are ahead of this, because I don't see white people. We take for granted generational wealth, but I would say probably 70% of white people ain't passing nothing on. They got nothing. Look, have you ever listened to Dave Ramsey? That yes, Black people call in to Dave Ramsey, but a lot of them, I know, but white people are calling in. What are they calling in about? A lot of them calling in like, I'm 65 years old and I got nothing and I'm in debt and I'm upside down and I just bought 2 cars. What am I going to do? And you're like, well, first off, you're not too bright, I would say, because I'm pretty much on the deep ramp.
Because you bought 2 cars.
but this is what they're saying is, I had an opportunity for generational wealth. Maybe I had it at one time. I ain't got it now. I've lost it. I'm down there. But I think Black communities in particular are much smarter about the system being stacked against them. And that is the first step. When you realize they're not going to help you, you need to help yourself. And again,
I just want to say a couple of things about
Lady
Taylor
Alex
Sheridan and, the stuff that's introduced to us. Just want to let you guys know, that there's places called Red Nation and also Black Liberation Media. Now, these are more in-depth. These are these are YouTube channels. These are shows and streams where people talk about the Black experience here and also the Native American experience here. I would definitely check out Red Nation and Black Liberation Media. Now, we are presented with a whitewash of what we're given as far as Hollywood and media, music, TV, movies. That is, blessed, quote unquote, by the white elite that make the decisions and put the money into entertainment. So Taylor Sheridan is not revered amongst a lot of Native American people. And the things that were presented with about the Black, any kind of African American or Black entertainment is not all revered by by them either. And if we delve even deeper, if we're interested, we can connect with others in these populations of people and look at what they're talking about that's different. They do criticize a lot of the Taylor Sheridans and other people that are given the green light to have all these things presented to us. And same with Black entertainment. So it's not, that's the surface. There's more to understand about the reality of how these people are being presented. So that's why I'm suggesting, places like Red Nation and also Black Liberation Media, because they delve deeper into finding out what's really going on and better, deeper perspectives than just what's given to us on the surface. So just to, tie into what you said about that. And also I would recommend Raoul Peck, a director, Exterminate All the Brutes is a mind-blowing series. If you guys could check that out, it's it touches on a lot of these type of issues. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Lady Alex, for calling in. We appreciate it. It's been a great conversation today. I got to say this much, that the person who affected me the most, who moved me the most, still to this day, is when I watch old Fred Hampton videos. And that guy had it down.
Mm-hmm.
They killed that guy because they knew he was a threat. He found a way to bring people together. Him going into those poor white communities, him going into those Latino communities, and it's like, we need to come together. The Rainbow Coalition was a real threat.
Thousands
they killed
of Fred Hampton have been murdered.
Yeah, after the poor man's
thousands of Fred Hampton. Yeah. Well, bye, everybody.
Thank you, Lady Alex.
Thanks for calling.
Karen,
Great
Pasta,
call.
and everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We love you, Lady Alex.
We've already got another one coming in.
Already? The queue didn't even go up. Wow, what a good show today. Thank you, guys. We're here at Drive Time. I'm here with
Drive Time Show.
Let's do it.
It's going to ring.
I love the ring. I feel like it's those calling shows where like, I'll get this one. Watch us here. I love this. I love the phone call. The ring.
think I know who it is.
Telephone number 203.
We'll get that off of there.
Hold
All right, I think
on.
I believe it was Jay. I think it's Jay. So call on back, Jay.
Man, how do we lose you? I want to go. This is Vinny from Salufo's Pizza. I want to get your order right. Man, I just want to have fun with these things. Guys, this is Drive Time. We have our new phone systems. We're checking it out. It's Wednesday, one of my favorite days, because our co-host, Lieutenant Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski, is here with us on Wednesdays. Tomorrow, Kyle Anzalone will be around. My good friend Wyatt Reed just finally reached out to me, got back from Lebanon. He was out there for a while. He's one of the managing editors of the Gray Zone, so he'll be on the show soon as well. Yesterday, we had Eric Hollerback, Klaus Schwab Jr. He didn't even do his whole thing, his whole shtick. He was on yesterday. Yesterday's show was crazy.
I like that guy. I enjoyed that conversation.
Awesome. Yeah.
Seems like a pretty well-read dude.
Just got a great heart. I love people with good hearts. I really do. And then Friday, we'll have Andrew Zigman back. That's so far that I haven't heard if he's not going to be here or not, but he should be here on Friday. So if you want to call on in. So, I do have this other video ready because I did want to play for you, Colonel, what James Fishback said to the religious war. Right now, this is a conservative, and once the call comes through, we'll jump right to the call. This is a guy trying to win a Republican primary, so I get it. However, it just drives me crazy because I don't ever feel that we should govern with any religion whatsoever. I think religion should be outside the room. We should be governing like fun-loving atheists. I don't need the commandments written down for me to believe in them. Thou shalt not commit murder. I just know inherently that it's not a good thing. But this is James. This is James Fishback. This is his answer, and I'd like to get him more still involved in the conversation. So I'm going to reach out to the people of him and see if I can get him on the show, and maybe he can come have a conversation with us. But this is the answer a conservative. I'm sorry. Hold on one second. I'm going to play this video 1 second, and you listen to Drive Time.
One fellow Christ neighbor to another. There is a spiritual battle. It was foretold in Ephesians chapter 6 by St. Paul when he reminded.
Turn it up a little bit. You can't hear him. Oh, I think it muted it, Pasta, when you muted your thing. All right, we got another call though, so let's get this. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey man, it's Jay.
Sorry about that. It called you back, but it's probably showing up on a different number because we're still porting our numbers. So I'm just forwarding.
It's Jay Johnson.
No worries, brother.
I believe so.
What's up, Jay Johnson?
What's up, brother? Hey man, sorry we had some logistical stuff this morning, so I'm hitting you back. You guys are hitting some very important topics. I'm not going to keep you. I just wanted to say thanks again to the Colonel for showing up on your show. I think you guys work really well together. I think that the class warfare issue is very, very serious. I think that people have a propensity to forget about the racial issues. I believe that the other day, matter of fact, last night, I was watching Monty Mater, and she was covering the past couple of months how in North Carolina 2 black people have been hanged. Like it's the 1700s, 1800s. And people are unaware of it because it's not in the news cycle, and they're reporting it as though we climb up in the trees and we just hang ourselves. And so I think that there's a lot that has to be addressed, especially when it comes to poverty and wages. I think kind of like when I talk about the repeal of certain laws, I think they should go back and wherever they had influxes of cash to corporations to pay more to their workers that were fraudulently used elsewhere for lobbies and whatnot, they should repeal that. They should also sue those corporations to pay it back. But
Yes.
Those should be paid into a trust, a government trust that pays a share account with the corporation that pays the labor to the workers. And then that way we can try to rebalance. But anyway, we'll chat soon, man. It's good to speak with you all.
Yeah, I need to get a hold of you, Jay. Actually, I have found something cool that you might be interested in on the technology front.
Oh man, I love that. I love that.
So
Hit me up, brother.
I'll get a hold of you soon.
What is the where is
Thanks,
the
Freaky.
hanging? Where is the hanging taking place?
There's been several. There's been
North
several.
Carolina.
Yeah, it's nuts, and they're trying to say it's suicides and shit. I'm like, dude, I don't know too many people are gonna climb up in a fucking tree and kill themselves. It's insane.
I know.
Also,
gross.
Mississippi. My
But
brother
do you
went
think
out there
there's
for
a possibility? Do you think there's a possibility that that's not just an everyday normal citizen, that it's actually could be a Fed trying to spark race wars? Because we know that the oligarch and the elites, Jay Johnson, have been trying to get us to go into a civil war for quite some time. And when I go out into the real world out there, right, and I speak to people out there, yeah, I do see like a lot of people, with religious bias, racist bias, biases towards immigrants. That's just like I still can't understand that. They don't belong here. Neither do you, asshole. But give me a break. I do see that out here, but for the most part, I do see that there's a lot of people who are just loving their fellow citizen, their fellow neighbor, or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And I do see an intent by the government to make sure that we are fighting each other. And this is what I see through mainstream media. When I see our politicians speak, people like Stephen Miller and all these other assholes, I do see the wanting of a civil war, because if we're fighting each other, we're not fighting them. So do you think the possibility with some of these hangings, it could be like a lot of feds or the states trying to spark a race war? Is Jay Johnson gone?
I think he hung up. He sounded like he was out and about. But I mean, I think that's a valid point. I mean, it's not like they haven't done that shit in the past. So
I mean, yeah,
that's the thing. Yeah, it's not like it wouldn't be first time. And we really, it's so we're I'm such a product of what we think is the government is about, which is not true, that we say, oh, of course they wouldn't do that. But then actually you look at history and you look at how they operate today on any other front, and that front too. Assassinations and suicides are us, right? I mean, it's not. Yeah, I wonder if that's what's happening. It could be. You never know. I mean, look, I will say this, and I always harp on it, but the state, our government, takes very seriously its survival against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Okay, so if it needs to do things, I mean, look what it did with COVID. It's survival. There's a theory. Pasta mentioned it, right? Like that. COVID kills off the old. Well, why would the state be interested in killing off people who really are consuming, what the state considers to be their assets? Why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they? Might be something useful. So the very fact that we can consider that the state is at war with us, and it is planning for more war in the future. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I can't say that that's what's happening in North Carolina, but we shouldn't discount it offhand. We need to research it and find out what's going on here.
It definitely needs to be looked into. I mean, I haven't seen shit on the news.
On the news.
So.
Well, see, what would be great is from a state's perspective, from the government's perspective, or the oligarchy, the controllers, is don't report it, and wait till the community that's being impacted blows up, and then report that, because that's what.
I mean, that's a good point.
And then nobody asks the question like what caused it, because that's old news. Now we're just like, oh my God, they're revolting. People are revolting. It's black people revolting, and they're blaming the white people. Oh, perfect for the state, right? That injects the
narrative they push out there. They keep people divided, because to tell you the truth, it is a quagmire of sorts to go, okay, this could be the state weaponizing stuff. Every single politician weaponized the George Floyd murder, right? They weaponized that shit. My friend wrote a book, and the thing about it is that it was weaponized, but there were some racial elements, I believe strongly, that were involved over there. So how do we make sure that we can say, okay, we got to be careful that this isn't weaponized to use to divide us, because that's what the state's going to do. But still, how do we recognize that within our society that a lot of biases and racism still exist? I mean, it is a slippery slope. to try to be understanding and compassionate, but like going, shut the fuck up. What's her name over in California? The black congresswoman who weaponized every part of the George Floyd murder to make it all about, white people hate black people. We're under attack. Like, what I'm saying? The white man is the problem. I mean, they had that kind of rhetoric and mentality in a lot of California politics. So, I mean, it's a slippery slope to try and recognize, but yet also recognize that the state wants us divided. These are tough conversations, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me tell you what the libertarian, the anarchist solution for that might be, and it would address the judicial system. Because if you look at how and who investigates crimes like or suicides or whatever it is. Let's just take this North Carolina case we're not hearing about. Across the whole country, cities, urban, rural, the cops are not objective. Okay, now you can say, well, yeah, they're racist. Yeah, they are racist, and they're also not objective when their racism is not the excuse. They're also not objective if it incriminates a cop. They're also not objective if one of the best providers of the police charities is actually raping kids. Well, maybe we can just pussyfoot around this a little bit. We'll slow rock this because hey, he's such a great guy. He helps us out so much. And I unfortunately listen to a lot of like cold case stuff and cop like real reality cop shows, where not the cop shows when they're arresting, but in the investigation, and the number of innocent people that are in jail. And even after DNA exonerates them, even after the other guy who did the crime, finds Jesus and says they did it, and the proof is there, the people in the law enforcement and judicial, they don't want it on their record that, oh, this judge made a bad decision and this prosecutor was a maniac who now has, because all the other cases have to be overturned, their reputations are destroyed. So they don't care about justice. And the libertarian solution, just make it short and sweet, is independent judiciaries. Basically, there's a crime, we have a choice of who we have, and they're all equal. Investigate this crime, prosecute. I want to go to this judge. And I'll tell you, in Muslim, one of the big things the hard right, the MAGA, I probably MAGA, really doesn't like is Sharia law. They go, Sharia law, we can't have Sharia law. Sharia law is terrible. They're going to put Sharia law on America. No, they're not going to put Sharia law on America. However, what Sharia law does in Muslim communities is it gives Muslims, not us, not non-Muslims, gives Muslims a choice on how they would like to see their civil and criminal law adjudicated. And just by having a choice, this is the free market. We need a free market in justice, and we don't have it. What we have is we have state delivered justice. It's very corrupt. It's very money controlled. And we say like, well, black people go to jail. Sure they do, but not the rich black people don't go to jail. Just like rich white people don't go to jail. Rarely. It's poor people that go to jail, and that's how it's always going to be. That's how. If we have a choice in how we investigate crimes, how we do justice. And I'm not saying Sharia law is the model for everyone, but I would love to see a Protestant Christian court offering up their services to adjudicate, because maybe if the guy that wronged me is a fellow Christian and I'm a Christian and I have an option to go to that, maybe I'll get better justice, because maybe my pastor isn't on the take like all the judges and the cops and the sheriffs. Okay, maybe, just maybe. Now he might be. So I need more than two choices. But I'm just telling you, there are solutions to getting out from under the state. And a lot of what we call justice is the state pursuing its own interests, not the interest of justice, and certainly not the interest of people.
Yep. There goes Karen Kwiatkowski. Here on a Wednesday, we're wrapping up the show. Free market forces from the libertarian out there. Throwing it out there. Colonel, let everybody know where they can find you. Did you do your show with Judge Knapp yesterday? Or?
No, I did it with Judge Knapp. Talked about Trump. Always we like to talk about Trump. No, I have my Substack, and there's an article out there the current one, Trump's disappearing presidency, and it's actually a serious article. But what motivated it was Trump disappearing into the food cart as he sent the other airplane with all of his buddies up in the air to get shot down, because he apparently believed it was going to get shot. So that's why he crammed himself into the food cart to escape to a different airplane. But he was sentient enough and concerned enough that he let the airplane fly with all of his buddies, including Rubio. all the people, he's like, oh, these are my steps. Yeah, what, to watch him blow up at 30,000 feet? If you believed that and you did that, you are just the scum.
Totally. Well, I'm the president and my life is more important. I'm here for the people, so I have to go inside the food cart, Karen, to protect
anyway, it's my Substack. It's just my name, Karen Katowski Substack. It's easy to find.
And go grab Judge Knapp. She does a show every there Tuesday. We used to warm her up on Mondays so she'd get ready for Tuesday. Now Judge Knapp warms up Colonel Karen for us every Wednesday here on Drive Time. Colonel Karen, thank you so much for joining the show, and thank you for participating every Wednesday with us. It was a very interesting show today. A lot of fun. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, let's do this. Here we go, Josh. We're going to try again. I'm going to try to talk low and slow into the microphone so it doesn't crackle. All right. As we wrap up today,
no, it did it again. Every fucking time, man.
Gotta be something we can do. As we wrap up today's show, let's take a moment to reflect on the importance of diversity of thought and the peace we can cultivate with our neighbors. In a world that often feels divided, it's our differences that can actually bring us together. Every unique perspective, every story shared enriches our collective experience and fosters understanding. Remember, it's okay to disagree. It's how we handle those disagreements that truly matters. Let's embrace dialogue over debate, compassion over conflict. When we listen to one another, we open the door to meaningful relationships. By engaging with our diverse communities, we can find common ground and build bridges that promote peace. So I encourage you to reach out to someone with a different viewpoint. Share a meal, have a conversation, or simply listen. Let's create a ripple effect of kindness and understanding in our neighborhoods and beyond. Hey, thank you for tuning in today. Remember, together we can celebrate our diversity and pave the way for a brighter, more peaceful future. So until next time, keep the dialogue flowing and that peace growing. I want to thank Stacy from Houston, Steve from Martin County, Joanna from O-Town, Jay Johnson from Connecticut, and Lady Alex from New Mexico. Thank you all. Colonel Karen, we didn't even get a chance to talk about Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens and their debate. For crying out loud. What an embarrassment for Andrew Wilson. What an embarrassment. And to see outlets like Timcast with all their people not talk about the debate just to try to pick up where Andrew fell down. You're a Zionist entity. You're a Zionist supporting show, and you're whacked, Timcast and his crew. But everybody else out there, I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining on in. I want to thank Gabrielle Freedom for holding it down in the chat, our producer. Fred Edward, I love you. I know I saw things getting a little hasty in the chat. I couldn't get too into it, guys. Let's remember to try to be kind to one another. Let's love each other. Let's listen to one another. Let's not take things personal, because I think sometimes it can get really hasty. And when we're talking about race, these things can really go off. But I think Lady Alex provided some perspective today. I thought Stacy calling in, searching and listening for answers. We're listening out there. We're trying to figure out what's going on. And the first step to doing that is listening. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll be back Thursday tomorrow with the big ragu himself, Kyle Anzalone. Until then, thank you, Sleepy J on the ones and twos, my co-host and engineer extraordinaire. Thank you, Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski. I'll see you tomorrow. I love you all, and peace.